Hello. Welcome back into the show. I am your host, Kedrick Stumbris. You can follow me on the website, formerly known as Twitter, at Kedrick Stumbris, and this is the Scotty Six Pack Podcast, your one-stop shop. I've been workshopping. I don't like that term. Everybody uses that. For all things Wisconsin sports, follow the show at Scotty Six Pack, wherever you listen to podcasts, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Love it when you're there. Leave some kind words, 5 stars, kind comments. Helps other people find the show. Helps us do great work. Hit the subscribe button. Smash that bell on YouTube or on Spotify. I know it's there too. I don't know about Apple, but turn those notifications on so you know right away when we post an episode, because I got a little bit of a feeling this one might be a little bit dated soon, because we're waiting on a little bit of Packers defensive coordinator news. Not quite coming yet. If it doesn't come in the next couple of days, well, it'll be an elongated search, but we're going to get into the Packers a little bit more tomorrow. I want to do a big weekend whip around here because we just had a huge weekend. And it started on Friday night when the Wisconsin Badgers dismantled Michigan State. And as you might notice now, I got a little bit, setup's a little bit tweaked. So forgive me if my eyes are kind of darting all over. Trying to get used to it a little bit. But let's talk about how Wisconsin just took care of business against Michigan State in a way that was very impressive. Because last season, these two programs played once. Michigan State came away with the win. And Michigan State has its struggles this year. It is not the juggernaut top 10, even top 5, some people said, program in the country, team in the country that was expected of it. Some of that is because 5-star freshman coming into the season projected NBA lottery pick, Xavier Booker, is not who he was projected to be this year for Michigan State. And that happens. Big men, typically these big centers, take longer to come along in the college game and at the pro level, at that next level, than guards do. This just happens to be the case we see year over year. So Michigan State, not what it was supposed to be, but still a very, very good team. A team that has stayed within the top 20 in predictive metrics like KenPom most of the year. And Wisconsin took care of business two meetings this season against Michigan State. And should be better, but Michigan State never led in this one. I think Wisconsin had the lead every time after 2-2. Just took that lead early and never gave it back, basically about 2.5 minutes in. AJ Storr had a phenomenal night, and it tells you everything there is to know about the ceiling of this Wisconsin basketball team, because AJ Storr's ceiling is higher than I thought it was. I am beginning to believe that AJ Storr has very serious NBA upside. And I know that's not a super hot take, but I said on another show earlier this season, I think it was after the Chicago State game that I covered for Badger Notes. Go bookmark www.badgernotes.com. I had said that maybe AJ Storr is just missing a little bit of an extra step. He looks like he can be an elite college player, but not necessarily an NBA talent. Every week, every game, he looks more and more like a potential NBA talent. He had 28 points in 33 minutes on Friday night, 9 of 17 shooting, 3 of 8 from 3, just can score at all levels. An excellent free throw shooter. I think it was 7 of 9 from the stripe on Friday night. AJ Storr can do it all and is a presence on the floor that draws so much attention that he makes everyone around him better. And yes, sometimes he's going to play just a little bit out of control on the offensive side, but he's been more and more disciplined on the defensive side of the court, which has been huge for this team. And frankly, you kind of want someone who's going to go out and just try to make a play sometimes. He is the guy in a tough spot where you say, go and get us a bucket. And most of the time he does. But one of the most impressive things about this team is that you can go to multiple guys to just go and get you a bucket. There was a moment against Indiana where Wisconsin needed to draw up an inbounds play, and you think, oh, okay, gotta go and get a bucket. It's gonna go to AJ Storr, but no, it goes to Max Klesmit. And some of these guys struggled on Friday night. That's true. Max Klesmit kind of comes back down to earth. Has 6 points and shooting 2 of 6. John Blackwell gets in a little bit of foul trouble early in the first half, picking up 2 really early fouls. Only plays 12 minutes in the game. But one of the things that was really impressive about that performance from John Blackwell is he actually comes back into the game during the first half, plays it out with 2 fouls, doesn't pick up that third. Something really impressive and is a show of trust from Greg Gard that says a lot about John Blackwell's ability for this team, because almost no coach in the country plays players in the first half with 2 fouls already less often than Greg Gard does. So for Greg Gard to let a freshman come in and play with those 2 fouls and trust that he's going to, play disciplined says a lot about John Blackwell. And as Greg Gard has said consistently throughout this season, he's just playing beyond his years. He's been very, very impressive so far this season. But like we said, AJ Storr is who you think of when you say, all right, Wisconsin needs to go and get a bucket. Where are they going to go get it? But the diversity of scorers. Max Klesmit had a down game after Max Klesmit had one of the best 1 week runs as a Wisconsin Badgers player that I can personally remember. At least playing, up and above and beyond his ceiling from that kind of perspective. And so for that scoring from Klesmit to come on down, but AJ Storr be able to pick that back up. It is amazing that this team has the diversity of scorers that it does. And Steven Crowell puts up 15 points of his own in this performance. For this team, and I've said this before on the show, for this team to have the kind of roster where you can count on somebody picking up the scoring when somebody else has a down night is huge. It is absolutely huge. You always know if somebody's going to be down, somebody else is going to be back up, and that just makes for a great team, a deep team that is good enough to hang with anybody in the country. And yeah, this team got shellacked by Arizona earlier on in the season, but that Arizona program has come back down to earth a little bit, and this team can hang with anybody. Put up 22 bench points to Michigan State's 11. Just awesome. And one of those bench players, of course, is Connor Essegian, who Connor Essegian has hit, I think it's something like 50% or 50% plus one of his shots ever since Wisconsin first played Nebraska this season. Of course, Wisconsin playing Nebraska coming up again later this week. But Connor Essegian, having him come off the bench, provide the spark of scoring that he's been able to after some early season struggles has been massive for this team. Wisconsin hits a little bit of a first half lull in scoring against Michigan State. Essegian comes in 5 minutes off the bench, puts up 8 points. Like that kind of electric spark that he can provide for this team is huge, because at some point in March, the Big Ten tournament, the NCAA tournament, having a guy who can come off the bench or come back in as a starter after getting some rest and just go off quickly is so big and can turn the tide of close games. And there's a lot of guys who can do that on this team. It's not just Connor Essegian. It's not just AJ Storr. It's not just Max Klesmit. It's not just Steven Crowell. It's not just Tyler Wall. Like, need we go on? We haven't even talked about Chucky Hepburn because his scoring's down because he's doing so much as a facilitator. This Wisconsin Badgers team is legit. And I'm having a lot of fun watching college basketball this year. But There's more than just college basketball, of course, on the roster for, some great Wisconsin Badgers games, some Milwaukee Bucks games. And we're going to talk about something that one Wisconsin Badgers program did this weekend. One Wisconsin Badgers program with 7 national titles to its name already, but had never accomplished this thing before until they did it this weekend. And we're going to talk about that right after we talk to you about our friends over at TickPick. TickPick, of course, is where I get tickets to every game that I want to go to. And there's some good games if you want to get out there this upcoming week. Milwaukee Bucks, of course, on a 5-game road trip, but Badgers, they host Penn State. Host Penn State on Sunday. That is going to be huge. So if you want to get out 2 game, I always get my tickets at TickPick. TickPick, you're never going to pay service or delivery fees ever again. TickPick doesn't believe in hidden fees. If you find a better price for the same tickets somewhere else, TickPick is going to match that price, give you 110% of the difference in credit toward your next purchase on TickPick. Plus, save $10 on your first order. Go ahead and save $10 when you need tickets. Maybe you are a Denver-based Bucks fan. You're trying to get to that game tonight. All right, grab those tickets on TickPick. Save $10 on your order. Or maybe you live in Utah. Maybe you live in Dallas, where the Bucks are going to be playing on this 5-game road trip. Click the link in the podcast description. Use the link on the screen. Go to the TickPick app. That's TickPick. You're going to save $10 on your first order, $99 or more. And you're never going to pay service or delivery fees ever again. I love TickPick. Want you to save money on your next ticket purchase. Coming up this week on the show, we're going to talk a lot more Wisconsin basketball as the week goes on. But before we get into that, we're going to try to talk some Green Bay Packers tomorrow. Still waiting on some, looking over my shoulder, waiting for it. Still waiting on some Packers defensive coordinator news. At the very least tomorrow, planning to break down who the Packers have interviewed, who they might be trying to hire, have offers out for, because candidates are interesting. And I like the direction that the search is taking. And we're going to talk about why tomorrow on the show. Wednesday, going to try to talk some Milwaukee Bucks. And then the rest of the week, we're going to get right back into Wisconsin basketball. Thursday, Badgers play Nebraska on the road. It's a tough roadie and will be big for Nebraska's NCAA tournament hopes. We're going to preview that game. Friday, we'll recap it. And then Saturday, we'll go ahead and preview the Purdue game. Trying to get some good guests on the show to break down those Nebraska and Purdue games for us. So stay tuned to the show for that. But before we do that, we gotta whip around the rest of the weekend, and that includes whipping around to the Milwaukee Bucks, who had an excellent weekend. Went 1-1 on the weekend, so of course it could have been better. But Friday, lose a close game to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and now the Doc Rivers era begins. Doc Rivers is going to make his coaching debut tonight for the Milwaukee Bucks as they kick off a 5-game road trip, as I alluded to earlier. And that comes after the Bucks just handled business on Saturday against the New Orleans Pelicans without Chris Middleton, no less. Giannis with a casual 30 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists in just 29 minutes. Brook Lopez, 24 points. Damian Lillard with 26 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. Bobby Portis, 22 minutes, puts up 20 points, 7 rebounds. Bobby's been up and down all year. Really hope that the coaching change kind of unlocks maybe a more efficient scoring level with Bobby Portis on the roster would be huge for this team. And now the Bucks play the Nuggets tonight. Should be getting Giannis versus Jokic. I don't think we got Giannis Jokic at all last season. I believe Giannis sat out for the game in Denver last season. Jokic sat out for the game in Milwaukee this season. New rules about game minimums to win NBA MVP, to win all NBA awards. Seem to be doing some work here to actually have some of these inter-conference matchups with superstars be more compelling, have those superstars actually play one another. Of course, Joel Embiid ducking Nikola Jokic in Denver over the weekend. So maybe that doesn't work for him, but seems to be working for Giannis. He is listed on the injury report as probable with a non-COVID illness, so maybe we don't get it tonight, but I think we probably do get Giannis Jokic. Oh, look at that. Oh, wait. No, never mind. Looking at some breaking news. Giannis no longer listed on the Bucks injury report with shoulder bruise or back spasms, but listed with an illness. So nothing changed there. So big week for the Milwaukee Bucks. And then little weekend whip around here, hitting on some Wisconsin hockey. We have not talked a lot of hockey on the show, not recently at least. And starting with the men's team, which we talked about the hiring of Mike Hastings a long time ago, like 10 months now, maybe something even longer than that. But since then, since the hiring of, great hiring of Mike Hastings, Wisconsin is all of a sudden a national title contender. Came into the week ranked 4th in the country, split a weekend series at Michigan, who is ranked 17th. So Wisconsin probably going to slip a little bit in those national rankings, but won a comeback game on Saturday to split the series, got that win in overtime, and huge rally. And just to tell you the direction that this program is moving in, Mike Hastings, in his 25 seasons prior to this one as a head coach, had a winning record in every single season he has been the head coach of a program, of a team, anywhere he's been. Always coached a winning season. This year, his 26th season as a head coach, he has already clinched a winning season here in Madison for the Badgers. A huge program turnaround in just one season. Badgers have a legitimate National Player of the Year candidate in their goaltender, Kyle McClellan. It's awesome. Awesome for a team that has amassed only 6 wins each of the last 2 seasons. Now going to have a winning record. Unless something drastic happens, this is going to be an NCAA tournament team. Cannot wait to watch some meaningful March, April men's hockey for Wisconsin. Again, haven't gotten that since 2021. Could be really exciting. And then not a full season turnaround, but an in-game, 1-game turnaround for the Wisconsin women's hockey team. Oh, I forgot to change the manner. Badgers men's hockey, still so back. And then Wisconsin women's hockey, 7-time national title winners, was 0-24 in this one stat. Now, 1-24, because Wisconsin squeaked by Duluth, a good Duluth team. I believe ranked 7th in the country coming into the weekend. Wisconsin ranked second or third, I think, depending on the poll. But squeaked by Duluth on the road in a close one on Friday, and then found themselves trailing early, down 1-0, headed into the second period on Saturday. And then, like, all hell broke loose in the second period as Minnesota Duluth scores 2 quick goals in the first 5-6 minutes, maybe 7 minutes of the second period. And all of a sudden, the Badgers are trailing 3-0. Wisconsin gets a goal back. But then KK Harvey, maybe the best player on the roster, of course, scored the game winner against Minnesota in the Frozen Four last season. Was an Olympian before her freshman year in Madison. KK Harvey takes a double minor penalty, 1 for cross-checking, and then after the young woman, KK Harvey, cross-checks, gets up, KK takes her, puts her in a headlock, and just throws her down to the ice. One of the most hilarious things I have watched. Reminded me of a boneheaded play I actually made my 1 year playing high school hockey. Very funny. but then results in an immediate Minnesota Duluth power play goal. And that negates the goal, basically, that Wisconsin had scored to put it back at a 2-goal deficit. And all of a sudden, Wisconsin is down 4-1 headed into the third period. And Wisconsin, in program history, had never erased a 3-goal deficit after 2 periods. Well, Wisconsin enters down 4-1. Lacey Eden gets a goal in the power play. Okay. Cassie Hall gets another goal. Lacey Eden scores again. This top line puts up 3 goals in the span of 2 minutes and 27 seconds. All of a sudden, tie game. Tie game. And the Badgers took the lead with 1:31 remaining and ended up winning at 5-4. Unbelievable. First win ever in program history after trailing by 3 after 2 periods. A furious comeback by a team that had basically everything go against them in the second period. There was a goal, a no goal that Wisconsin had not scored, where the puck hits the back of the net. Maybe a question about whether or not the whistle was blown a little bit early, but you take that, take a bad penalty, things start adding up. Just not a great second period all around for the Badgers, but Badgers took the lead with 1:31 remaining, come back from all of that. A fantastic performance, and shows you just why Mark Johnson is the GOAT coaching that program. And Wisconsin probably needed that win to stay alive in the conference title race with Ohio State, who is once again just a fantastic team in women's hockey, the 2-time defending conference champions. And a loss there would have put Wisconsin 3 full games back, 3 full wins, 3 full regulation wins back of Ohio State in the conference title standings. So now, with a handful of weekends to go, Wisconsin is in the middle of it. They're going to have a shot, 2 wins back if they take care of business. If both teams win out until that final weekend of the season, Wisconsin would be able to clinch a share of the conference title by winning 2 regulation games against Ohio State that last weekend of the season. So it's going to be, Badgers still control their own destiny. Going to be a tough race to the finish here. And I think we're going to be talking about this team a little bit more, once a week-ish as this rolls on, because this is a team with legitimate national title hopes, a team that could win back-to-back national titles here. And so we'll be bringing back friend of the show, Noah Clark, as the season rolls on, to talk about Wisconsin women's hockey as it goes along. Reminder, Noah Clark, of course, one of our great play-by-play voices of the Badgers, of this great Wisconsin women's hockey team. So stay tuned to the show for that. We'll have that coming up in the next few weeks. And before that, we're going to talk some Packers tomorrow. Keep talking some Wisconsin basketball as the team rolls on, tries to compete for a Big Ten title. Didn't get any help over the weekend with a Purdue loss, unfortunately, but just make it for a huge game at the Kohl Center on Sunday. So stay tuned to the show. Thank you very much for listening. As always, I'm your host, Kedrick Stumbris. Thank you for listening to the Scotty Six Pack Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. While you're here, leave a review, 5 stars, kind comments, smash that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so you get this in your feed whenever the new episode drops, because we're keeping you up to date on all the Wisconsin sports news. So with that, on Wisconsin, Bucks in 6. We're going to talk to you all tomorrow.